Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good afternoon. We're just past 1. We are nearly running on time. So this afternoon's topic is, look, I always try and find the topics that I get asked about the most. Screen time is definitely one of them. And we're going to touch on exactly why it is such a massive issue for kids and how we can alter those battles, right? Reduce them, change them, and how we can alter your children's experiences around screen time. What should we expect? What should we not expect? What's going on in the little brain to have your child react in certain ways, which is probably one of the most important aspects for us to understand, because then we get to alter our responses with that. So let me get set up here. If you're jumping on, let me know who you are. So some of you will or won't know me. I'm Jessica McElveen. I am a child behaviour and family dynamic specialist in here. And I like to go live a few times a month, trying to discuss the most important topics and issues that I hear within the clients that I have each week. So let's get stuck into it. If you've got comments or you want to say hi, let me know. There's a few of you on here. Say hi. Don't be a stranger. Don't be shy. So let's get stuck into it. I'll probably do my favorite thing of all time and draw some pictures and show you exactly what's going on in your child's brain with this screen time, screen stuff, screen changes that we're trying to create. So if you are watching, what I'd love you to do is pop in the comments there what your battles are like. So what don't you like about it? What happens around screen time? Do you have any boundaries around it? Do you have rules that you follow in your home? Maybe there are no rules. Maybe there are rules sometimes and rules not at other times. Hey, Sarah, welcome. So look, when it comes to behaviors, when it comes to psychology, biology, how we operate as a human being, there's a lot of myths out there. There's just so much rubbish, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of rubbish. And, luckily for me, it's my job to read all of it and siphon through it. But for most people, when that's not your daily job or daily interest point, you just don't have time to do that. So I'm really going to sift through the myths that are around screen time and what is okay and not okay, because I quite often get parents come to me and they will tell me, Jess, my child has a real problem because of the reaction when I tell them to get off the screen. Okay, they have a real problem. They are really explosive. They throw massive meltdowns once I tell them to get off it. There's lots of problems. Okay, I hear this word problem a lot that comes through. So let's dive into it. Is there really a problem? I wonder. So let's think about screen time for a second. One of the things that you can bet your bottom dollar is that when there's a screen around, if you have access to a screen, if your child has access to a screen, you can guarantee, I can guarantee you that your child will want it all the time. Your child will become addicted. There's no getting around that. Even for adults, we become addicted to our screens. So to expect something different from our children is only setting them up for failure and you most of the time. So first things first, if your child has ever been on a screen more than once and it provides entertainment for them and a chance to zone out, they are going to want it all of the time. Let's be very clear about that. These devices and what they stimulate in the brain and the body, which we'll go through briefly, is designed to release all of these feel-good hormones. So your child wants it all of the time. They want to feel good all of the time. So do we. We want those dopamine hits. We want the serotonin hits. Sarah, you should know all about these hormones now. That's coming through. So that's what's happening. They are getting addicted. So it's the addiction aspect that we need to deal with, right? It's the flood of dopamine that we need to really understand if we are going to make any changes in this realm. Because quite often what I hear happens is that there's so much frustration around it, and that my child should just be able to do what I say. My child should not be, I've told them time and time again, they just should get off it when I say so. And I'm sick of the meltdowns. I'm sick of the tantrums. It's too exhausting. It's too overwhelming. Okay. So let's have a bit more of an understanding of what's going on in that little mind and little body. So when we have, I work with a range of different complexities, different behaviors, different diagnoses, and especially when we've got children that have maybe sensory processing issues, or they have discomfort coming up in their bodies. Maybe it's at school. There's a lot, maybe there's bullying. Maybe they don't like being in the classroom, and there's a lot of discomfort building up through the day. Maybe home life isn't as pleasant as it once was or ever was. Maybe what else can happen? Maybe they're not achieving the things that they want to achieve. Maybe they're missing their friends, whatever the case may be. If there's any discomfort through the day or building through the day, what they know to be true about that device and about that technology, what their body knows, their biology, okay, the biology, that body knows that as soon as the screen is in front of them, calm can happen. As soon as the screen is in front of them, calm can happen. So the brain has sent the body has sent the brain a message saying, this is good. Keep doing this at all costs. That's a really strong message to get, really strong. And when that's repeated, the brain then has these cement highways of a message, always wanting that feeling. Okay, so the addiction is then created. So then, what do we do with the addiction? What do we do with it? So we know, right? It might not be any surprise to you. We know we've got the dopamine flooding. We know we've got the serotonin flooding through, but mainly the dopamine, okay? It's like maybe they're achieving something, they're feeling good. Maybe it's that they get to ignore all of the stress hormones that are in their body as well. So there's not so much attention on that cortisol or adrenaline running through their body. If they're finding difficulty through their day, or they feel unsettled or irritable, it's their chance to zone out, just like us. Okay, but the thing is that we are dealing with a brain that is not yet fully developed, or a nervous system, mind you. So we are dealing with a brain that is still so much so functioning from the emotion center of the brain. Okay, so we've got even more emotions being triggered throughout this experience than, say, an adult. We've got more emotions being flooded through than an adult, because the child is living mainly from that emotion center. So when we know this, then when we know that we've got the combination of that emotion center of the brain and the addiction side of things, because we've got so much dopamine flooding through, we can zone out, which is why we watch Netflix a lot of the time, right? So let's not make ourselves too different to these kiddos, right? It's just that they don't have the capacity to regulate it in that moment, which is what we're going to deal with. So when we want to make the change, when we want to reduce these battles, there are two things that we need to keep in mind. I'm narrowing it down to two. There's a few others, but let's focus on the two. First is consistency. Consistency. I was speaking to a mum the other day, and it was around food addiction. So still the same thing. So we've got sugar addictions, we've got food addictions. Okay, so the sugar spikes, okay, everything in the body, and there's so much energy there, right? She's often feeling depleted, so the sugar spikes everything. There's an addiction to that sugar. Now, when we go through mum's actions and how consistent she is with her boundaries around sugar, there's a lot of inconsistencies. So maybe once every month or 2 months, she will think, okay, no, I've had enough. I've got to set a new boundary. Let's do it. We go day one of the new boundary. and it just all turns into chaos and it all seems too hard. And then we flood back to the original plan of just giving her what she wants because it just feels easier. It just feels easier. And there's no right or wrong here. There's no judgment here. This is just what happens. Okay. No judgment. So is this going to support the change? Absolutely not. What happens as soon as we start to create a change in a zone where there's an addiction to a certain thing or a feeling, what's going to happen, first of all, is that there's going to be a trajectory of increased responses from your child. They're going to firecracker all the way up here because based on their previous experiences, they're going to think that as soon as they go higher and higher and higher, okay, I'm not getting the response I usually get here, which is mum usually gives up or dad usually caves, go higher. So then we go higher. The child's behaviors, meltdowns get more extreme. Okay, not working. This is weird. I'm going to go higher. So in the beginning is the most important and the most challenging part. The most challenging part. So consistency during those most difficult parts in the beginning, those difficult days or the difficult couple of weeks, that's where you're going to have to keep your energy in another way, okay? And be consistent with that boundary. No matter how high your child goes, stick to the boundary, the new rule around technology. Maybe it's that it's just 1 hour a day instead of 3. Maybe it's that it's 10 minutes before school instead of a few hours at nighttime. I don't know what you want to change it to. There's lots of theories out there around what's going to work effectively, what's not good. There's lots of theories, but you get to choose. And this is not about me telling you which formula is the best in that regard. Yes, there are ones that I know of, and if you'd like more information on that, then just pop it in the comments. But we're changing it to, I'm assuming, we're reducing the screen time, right? That's what I'm assuming here. So as soon as the new boundary is in place, what we want to do is be absolutely consistent with it during those harder times. Now, it's definitely going to be worth your while in the beginning to let them know that it's happening. Don't make it a surprise. That's the worst thing that we can do to children. Warn them in advance. Is it going to alter their reaction in the moment? Probably not. So let's also be very wary of that too, and that expectation, depending on their age. So communicate with them in the beginning. You may or may not need to explain why, because they probably won't care. But set the boundary, let them know, and be consistent. And then now what we get to deal with is all of the reactions that come, all of the reactions. Now, what we're dealing with in this phase is both your reaction and their reaction, okay? So whatever expectation that you have of them, because you've either warned them or they should be able to stop it in the moment because maybe their friends do, or your other child does, or you've seen your friends' children do it, whatever the expectations are, drop them, completely drop them. Drop them, cut them down, strike them off your list, whatever you need to do. Have zero expectations around this. Expect nothing, no expectations. We need to start from ground zero when we're working through something like screen time and that addiction to it. Expect nothing. Now, likely you're going to experience the big emotions. That's likely. Now, there's a few ways that are going to help you in these moments. So one is I speak about this concept where one trigger plus one trigger equals war. Okay. So if you are triggered and annoyed by their response, you can bet your bottom dollar that the situation is going to go haywire and everyone's going to get tired, upset, angry, and explosions will erupt. So at the end of the day, this is why I say our first point of call is ourselves. What's our reaction like? Drop all of your expectations so then we can focus on their response, because this is where the magic is. Okay, what we're dealing with is the addiction side of things and the emotion center of the brain going nuts. Okay, the body and mind going nuts. So in those moments, the greatest tip that I have for you to build consistency is, are you ready? I'm here to keep it simple. Children's behaviors are simple. They're not easy to accept, but they're simple to understand. So the greatest strategy that's going to work in these moments is to say nothing. Say nothing. That's tip number one. So I'd be writing this one down because most of the parents I work with, this is their greatest challenge, saying nothing. But I can promise you that whenever we implement this strategy, number one, we reduce meltdowns and chaos and explosions by up to 80%. Up to 80%. So we're going to say nothing in those moments. Okay. We've got this explosion erupting. We've got this change happening that they're not used to. Their brain now knows that they're not going to get that dopamine hit, and it is going into chaos mode. Chaos mode. What the hell is going on here is basically what your brain and your child's brain and body is saying to each other. How am I going to get that dopamine hit? This is rubbish. I can't handle my life right now. Explosion. Okay. So the best thing that we can do in those moments with any meltdowns, by the way, you can use this with any meltdowns, is to say nothing. Okay. In those moments, they are so far gone from the frontal cortex, which is where the language is, and the analytical thinking. Forget about it. There's no logic here anymore. Logic is gone. Logic is nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen in these moments. So saying nothing, because your language will only heighten them more. What is the gift in these moments when we say nothing and we're dealing with such an eruption is simply understanding where they're coming from. And you could call it a bit of sympathizing with them, even though you might think it's ridiculous. We need to actually take them seriously. When they feel like we've been taking them seriously, you'll actually find that meltdowns and the responses will start to decrease. This is their world and it feels serious to them. It really does feel like life and death. So we say nothing because in those moments, all we want to do with our nonverbal communication, our body language, our facial expressions, our energy, maybe the one sentence you say is, you know, I get it, buddy. You know, I know you want to be on there. I know you do. That's it. That's it. As simple as it gets. We don't want to persuade them to see something differently. We don't want them to know the consequences that they had yesterday. We don't want to convince them of some magical thing that can now happen in their future because we're limiting their screen time. No, no, no. This is not the time for that. This is the time to simplify everything and know that you are dealing with an irrational, emotional, addicted brain and body. That's what we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with a child that is disrespectful, that is manipulative, that is troublesome and aggressive and violent. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a brain and a nervous system that is in chaos. And the best way that we deal with a chaotic child brain is to reduce our language, reduce our persuasion, and simply show understanding through one or two sentences and through body language. That's it. And the consistency of the boundary. That's it. There are two pathways. There are two pathways. That's it. So any questions, by the way, shoot your questions through, shoot your examples through, share what you've tried that's been working. You know, other parents are going to read this too. So put it down, put it down. We can all help each other out here, and you might have a fabulous idea that I haven't even thought of yet. So if you take away anything from this video that you've invested your time into watching, you're all busy parents, you don't have all the time in the world. If you take away anything, it is that you are dealing with an emotional, irrational, addicted brain and body. Consistency and being quiet, calm and understanding through that response is going to change everything. It will feel really hard in the beginning, really hard, but it will get easier because in that moment, your child is just a reactive addict, Okay, let's get serious here. Let's get serious. That's what's going on. So, hey, Amanda, welcome, welcome. Let me know what you got out of this. Hey, Janine, welcome, welcome. So no words, it's so hard, but it does work if you can manage it. Yeah, so Luan's been working with me for a little while, and that's one of the things that we've been working on, is limiting these words. It sounds too simple, but I promise you that it works. So any questions from this, pop it in the comments. I will always get back to you, but we don't need to say any more, because if you start there, it's going to start to change. Okay, let's keep it simple. So I will, here we go. Like ideas on alternative activities. Okay. Interesting, Louise. Interesting. Sun is 11. Cool. So I don't have a great deal of time to play and entertain. Okay. So Louise, what I would say, and I don't know the background of how the last 11 years have gone, what the parenting style has been like, your son's character and his personality. I don't know all of that. But I would question right here, my first question would be, how often in those 11 years has your son been allowed to get bored and create his own playtime? Okay, being bored is a real positive and it's a real strength, although children will complain about it most of the time. It's like that sentence that they're always saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. You tell them there's, a piece of fruit or a sandwich and they never want it. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. It's always something that they're coming to you with. So my suggestion, Louise, would be, I don't know that this is about creating more activities for your son. My question would be, how often has he been allowed to get bored to create his own activities and play in his own world in his current environment? That would be my question. As I said, I haven't spoken to you before, but that would be my first question. And that would be my invitation. And again, because we're making a change to how we respond or entertain the child, or, we tap into quickly entertaining him because we don't want him to get bored. And I'm not saying this is what you've done, but this is for everybody's reference because this happens a lot. Then he hasn't gotten used to exercising that creativity part of his brain and that play part of the brain, which is really important. So not sure if a boy is sport. Cool, Luan. There's some cool suggestions there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A silent hug always helps. Yeah, Janine. Yeah, of course it does. There's our nonverbals, right? There's our nonverbals, just there to show understanding, and that is it, without judgment. That's the key here within any explosion. So I hope it's been of great help. Any questions, as I said, pop it down and I'll be back with you in a few weeks' time, or this week, I think, with another topic that I often hear from the clients I work with. Bye for now, everybody. Have a great afternoon.